U.S. China Trade War 2025. Are we heading for economic collapse? Welcome back to LCC News. Today, we're diving into a pivotal story shaping not just American lives, but the entire global economy: the intensifying trade war between the United States and China. With recent tariff escalations, shifting alliances, and market turmoil, what lies ahead? Let's break it all down. In early April 2025, President Donald Trump announced new tariffs of up to 145% on all Chinese imports. This marked a dramatic escalation in a long-simmering conflict. Trump justified this move by citing what he called decades of unfair trade practices by Beijing. In swift retaliation, China imposed tariffs up to 125% on U.S. goods, particularly targeting agricultural products, technology, and automobiles. This exchange reignited fears of a full-scale global trade crisis, echoing tensions from Trump's first term. But this time, the stakes are even higher. The world economy, already weakened by years of inflation and geopolitical instability, stands on far shakier ground. According to a Reuters report from April 25th, China made a strategic move by exempting some critical American goods, such as semiconductors, aviation parts, and medical devices, from new tariffs, recognizing their own reliance on these sectors. However, major agricultural exports like soybeans and pork remain heavily penalized. The consequences have been immediate and painful for American farmers. The Department of Agriculture noted that soybean sales to China fell by more than 50% within 2 weeks of the tariff announcement. Pork exports also plummeted, leaving many rural communities in financial despair. Meanwhile, U.S. tech giants are grappling with disrupted supply chains. Companies like Apple and Nvidia face increased costs and potential production delays, pushing some to explore moving operations out of China. Small and medium-sized businesses, which form the backbone of the American economy, are struggling to adapt. Higher import costs have forced many to raise prices, lay off workers, or shut down altogether. Axios reported on April 26th that consumer prices are expected to rise by 3% across the board within the next 2 months if the tariffs remain in place. Beijing is not without its own problems. China's economy grew by a reported 5.3% in Q1 2025, but independent analyses suggest the real figure may be lower, with signs of deflation and slowing industrial output. According to the Financial Times, internal unrest within the Chinese Communist Party is growing. President Xi Jinping faces mounting criticism over his handling of both the domestic economy and foreign policy. Military infighting and civilian dissatisfaction could undermine his grip on power. China has strategically waived tariffs on essential imports from the U.S., but maintains a hardline stance on negotiations. State media have made it clear there will be no formal trade talks unless the U.S. lifts its tariffs first, a demand the Trump administration has firmly rejected. The U.S. China trade war is sending shockwaves across the globe. The IMF, in its latest report, downgraded the global economic growth forecast for 2025 to just 2.8%, citing prolonged trade hostilities as a major risk. Emerging markets are particularly vulnerable. Countries dependent on Chinese manufacturing are facing supply shortages, while others relying on U.S. agricultural products are scrambling for alternatives. Meanwhile, financial markets have become increasingly volatile. The S&P 500 and Dow Jones Industrial Average experienced their worst single-day drops since the pandemic, wiping out billions in market value. President Trump's aggressive tariff strategy comes as he gears up for a possible re-election bid. Analysts are divided. Some believe it energizes his base, portraying him as tough on China. Others argue it risks alienating key constituencies, particularly farmers and business owners. During a rally in Ohio last week, Trump declared, "We will not be slaves to China. We will fight, and we will win." Supporters cheered, but experts warn that prolonged conflict could trigger a recession. Polling from Politico shows Trump's approval rating among rural voters has dipped 7% since the tariff announcement. The road ahead is uncertain. Talks remain stalled. The Biden administration, congressional Democrats, and even some moderate Republicans are urging Trump to seek a negotiated settlement. However, hardliners within the GOP are pushing for an even tougher stance, advocating additional tariffs and possible sanctions against Chinese tech companies. The Chinese government, for its part, is reportedly considering new retaliatory measures, including restrictions on rare earth mineral exports, vital to U.S. tech and defense industries. If the current trajectory continues, economists fear a trade Cold War that could last for years, fundamentally reshaping global commerce and politics. The world watches with bated breath as two superpowers collide economically, diplomatically, and ideologically. Whether this ends in reconciliation or deeper division will shape the 21st century. Thank you for joining us today on LCC News. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because we'll be here to keep you informed with accurate, timely, and unbiased reporting. Stay tuned, stay sharp.